We already know the drill. There are just tons of items on Roblox. But cutting it a bit different from the normal Roblox items, today we're going to be looking at 5 Roblox items that actually changed forever. No, by that, I mean items that either had some aspect of them completely changed. This could be something about their texture, their mesh, or even their description. But before I begin, I will not be including items like the blue 8-bit antlers here that had their description changed for a sale and were never set back, like this, which says this item is back on sale for our President's Day weekend sale. So obviously that was changed and added in at some point, but it was never removed. I will also not be including April Fool's Day 2012 hack items like the Dark Assassin here, which was originally named the Noob Hood. That's because these were never intentionally supposed to be released in the first place. So under that note, I will also not be including any items that were unintentionally changed, like the Dominus Auris, when it was swapped accidentally with the Dominus Venaris mesh. Now starting off, we actually go back to Dominus Auris as my first pick. Now if you don't realize, Dominus Auris came out of this gift here, which I have absolutely no idea how to pronounce. Anyway, when Dominus Auris first came out, it actually looked slightly different, but was quickly changed a couple of days or maybe a week later. I can't exactly place it. This is because not many people liked the original look and complained about it. Anyway, if you go ahead in Roblox Studio here, I have both versions of Dominus Auris set up. The original version and the version we have now. Now I'm going to give you guys a second just to look at these two and think what looks different about them. Can you tell which one is the one we have now and which one's the original? Well, if you guess the one on the left as the one we have now, that is correct. If you look at it, this is exactly the one we have now. But if you kind of look on the back, you may notice something that I've at least always noticed, that it sort of looks a little bit off on the back of this Dominus. Just see right here, it has a little bit of a groove. I don't know if you guys can see that, but right where my mouse is, it has a bit of a groove. Why is that? Well, that's because if you look at the Dominus over here, Dominus Auris actually originally had these things on the back. Now they expanded a bit to the sides, which I actually think looks a bit better than the one we have now. So I actually really like the sides of the old Dominus a lot better. However, the back, I'm glad they changed. No, my guess and many other people's guesses is they tried to make it look more like a hood, as in the cloth on the Dominus sort of showed off. But it didn't really make too much sense, as Dominus Auris is this gold thing, so if it's solid gold, why would it have cloth like spiraling up the back? So in other words, they tried to make it look more like a hood, unlike the other Dominuses, but so many people actually complained about it. Because of that, Roblox actually listened for once, and I believe it was about a week later, a couple of days later, they actually changed it from this to this. Now again, I personally actually think the sides look a bit better, so I think they should have left it that way, but the back, I am certainly glad they changed the back. Next on our list takes us to the open classic gift of timeless taste, which was the big Halloween gift of 2015. Now, if you don't know, up until 2017, Roblox actually did a thing where they would release gifts on Halloween, but sadly they did not do that last year for some reason. Anyway, every year they would release a big gift, which was 31,000 Robux, and in 2015 it was the classic gift of timeless taste. Now, when it first opened, we actually got this thing, the Sparkle Time Classic Pumpkin, and because of this, that we paid 31,000 Robux for this, it came down as one of the biggest disappointments of all time, and it followed riots on the forums and all over the website, which actually resulted in, I believe, half of the owners, which was about 530, actually rioting over this thing and trying to get Roblox to change it. This outrage was pretty acceptable considering we got Ghastly the year before, but sort of blew over in 2016 when we got Dominus Prefectus as a big gift. As much as many people don't like it, it's still a Dominus. Anyway, as many people don't like this Sparkle Time Classic Pumpkin in its current form, what if I told you Roblox actually did change it? Now, the change people really wanted was for it to have horns on the side, just like Ghost Eerie. However, instead, they changed it another way, which was still good and made it less worthless, but still allowed people to complain. See, this is what the Sparkleton Classic Pumpkin originally looked like. It was just sort of a boring, gross looking pumpkin. But following the outrage, it was actually given lighting a couple of days ago. If you guys can see that down here, it actually has a small orange lighting effect that comes off of it. This makes it one of two hats that has lighting effects on it. But this still was not enough, obviously. So about 2 weeks later, at the height of the outrage, Roblox also added particle effects to it, which are these cool ghost particles, which makes it one of the most unique items in Roblox, as it both has lighting and particles. But that still did not satisfy most people, as even though this is kind of cool and all, which I do agree since I actually own it, this is pretty cool, but it does not save how ugly the item is in many people's opinion. All in all, it was a far cry from what people actually wanted, as basically shown on the screen now, but it was still a welcome change from the original. For our next item on this list, we actually have a description change in the form of this hair, Rick. Now this hair is just sort of a generic, like, what is this, like 70s, 80s, like pop star hair. Nothing special about it. But if you check the description, it says he'll never give you up. Now what if I told you that up until about 2015, 2016, this was actually the description? Yes, I'm being 100% serious with this. This was actually the description. If you don't know what this YouTube link is, just go to it right now, copy it off of the screen, and you'll see what it is. But yes, that was literally the description up until 2015, 2016, but they went and changed it, probably due to copyright problems. Next up, we have the Hazmat Isolation Helmet, which is another item we had the description changed to. Now, currently, the description simply reads, "Sir, we're going to have a situation here," which very much fits the actual item. But up until 2014, the description was actually different, reading this: "Sir, we're going to have a situation here. Someone's put Ebola in the water supply." Now, if you don't see the problem with the original description, why it was changed, this was obviously originally a joke. However, this was changed following 2014 when there was a massive Ebola outbreak. Now, if you don't know what Ebola is, it's a pretty horrible disease that's luckily calmed down a bit, but in 2014 there was a wide spread of it, and people were scared that it was going to spread out of Africa and basically take over the entire world. It was a sad, sad thing, and luckily it's gone down, but it's still a huge problem. But in 2014, late 2013, the fear of it was so bad that Roblox obviously changed the description of this item out of sheer respect, because there was basically an impending Ebola crisis. Our next item takes us to the Ghastly Ghoul package, which was one of the free packages that was given if you bought a $40 Roblox card from GameStop in October. This was back in, I believe, 2013. Can't really find any information. Now, besides actually borrowing from Lord Umberhollow, which is pretty cool, this item's hat was actually changed. This is the Ghastly Ghoul mask. In what way was it changed? Well, if you look at it now, it's just sort of a generic, cool-looking ghost mask. It's just a little face here, and it has a cool little mouth. Pretty cool, right? So this one I literally cannot find record of, but you have to trust me on this one. See, when the Ghastly Ghoul was originally released, for the first couple of hours, it actually had no mouth, and many people thought it looked a lot better than what it does now. If you kind of look, the eyes are sort of etched in, but the mouth looks like it's drawn on. That's again because it originally had no mouth. Now what you're probably asking is, if people actually thought it looked better, why was it changed? Well, this is because within a few hours of it being leaked and released, many people actually thought that the hood looked a little bit different and just looked a little bit like something else. If you don't know what I'm getting at, ask a parent or something, but yeah, this actually looked a little bit like a hood that is worn by a particular not so nice, basically terrorist group. So obviously, because they don't want to give their package a hood that actually resembles that of a terrorist group, they went and added a mouth to change it. Now again, following the warning you just saw, the next two items are a bit of a bonus, and they're a bit more inappropriate. So if you're a bit on the younger side, I would not view these. However, I've done my best to make them as PG as possible, but I still thought they were very cool and I wanted to include them because they are not that well known. Starting with the less inappropriate one, we actually have Dominus Astra. Now, if you don't know, when Dominus Astra was first released, it was actually named Dominus Noctis instead of Dominus Astra. To see why this was changed, you actually have to go to Google and simply type in Dominus Noctis. Now, when you Google Dominus Noctis, you would have to click images. Now, when you do this now, you just get a bunch of edgy, demonic pictures to show up for some reason. However, when you originally Googled this, you would actually get a bunch of pictures of women wearing pretty skimpy clothing. Now, they weren't naked, but they were wearing bikinis and all, so obviously, Roblox did not want kids to look up Dominus Noctis, accidentally hit images, and just see a bunch of almost naked women. So they obviously went and changed it. Lastly, we have the skate front stand, which was the first and only in a series of reverse skater hats. This one was actually a reverse of the star tail slide, which is black, and this one's white and black, so you can kind of see how it's reversed here. Now, obviously, there are a ton of skater hats if you go here and cycle through them, but as said, this is the only of the reversed skater hats. Now, when you go and view the description, it actually has a pretty funny description. It says all of this, basically alluding to Skates McSkatington having to change the brand name after a controversy in 2015. Pretty cute, actually. But let's go and focus on Skates McSkatington. Sort of a generic skateboarder name, right? Well, originally, this was actually different. It was actually a parody of Tony Hawk originally. Now, Tony Hawk is probably one of the most famous skateboarders in the world and was extremely popular in the 90s. If you don't know who he is, that's who he is. Anyway, back to this. This was originally actually a parody of Tony Hawk. I don't remember the exact name, and I can't find any record of it, so unfortunately I cannot find what this originally was, but it was a parody of Tony Hawk along the lines of, phony walk or something like that. Anyway, the issue was when you actually looked up that name, see, as it turns out, the parody name that they made up on the spot for Tony Hawk, obviously it was just meant to parody Tony Hawk, but as it turns out, that was actually a real person, and, yeah, let's just say he wasn't the most kid-friendly celebrity. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something today. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe for more content. Thank you.